Hello and welcome to episode 3 of Your Average Critics. It's just 4 of us today because Joe has priorities. He supports the dirty Spurs.
Spurs are shit.
Yeah,
Wow.
I think Chris, we're going to have to get you to blank out the word Spurs because it's just horrible when no one wants to hear that. So this week's pod is going to be about Oscars predominantly. We've all gone to see a whole load of Oscars films, so we're going to be chatting about that. We've all got quite diverse opinions on them, I think. But first of all, how was your week, guys? O's, what'd you get up to?
I got a Limitless Pass, OD Limitless Pass, and I've
Decent.
rinsed it the past 2 days.
Decent. Other limitless passes are available.
Seen 4 films now in 2 days.
Yeah?
So yeah,
Jesus.
that was good. And then Arsenal was shit, which is disappointing.
Oh, God, yeah.
You know. So Arsene Wenger, if you ever listen to this, you broke my heart.
I think Wenger's a massive fan of the podcast.
Yeah.
Did you say if he ever listens to this?
If he-
When
Yeah.
when he's listening to this?
Yeah, they listen to it in training. This is their motivational
True.
speak.
True. But yeah, apart from that week, my week's been not too bad. You know, same old. Work and sleep.
Work hard, play hard, innit? Chris, what's up with you? What's
No,
new?
not really. No, just went pub on Friday. That's about it. And watched a few films on Saturday.
Yeah, you need to get one of these generic limitless passes.
I will.
Non-cinema specific.
Next month, I'll get it next month.
They're definitely worthwhile, but you're not a huge cinema goer, are you, Ollie? I don't know. Are you?
Every now and then. But we went over the weekend and
Yeah.
we ended up getting a free ticket. So
We
that
did
was fab.
actually,
So word
We
of
saw
advice.
a rodent in a cinema that should not be named
Yeah.
on the podcast.
If you ever see a mouse, you might get free tickets.
Yeah. Well, to be fair, I didn't actually see it, but I benefit from it. I was traumatised, weren't you? So she said, she was like, oh yeah, I hope you've not been traumatised by this incident. I was
I
like,
wasn't even looking to get
no.
I kind of wanted to delete, but we were just stood there waiting.
We're just doing our civic duty. Do you know what I
Ollie
mean?
was. I was.
Well, yeah.
Ollie wanted to fall like health inspector mode. So everyone chatted to her like, you can't be having this.
Can't be having no, mate.
But fair enough.
It could have been just a wrapper on the floor, and it said, "Oh yeah, no, it's
It
really
lit
dark. It moved too fast."
So film news. I don't know if anyone's seen that Logan has been rated 15 by the BBFC, which is the censorship board for the UK. What do we think about that? Were you expecting higher, or was it 15 out of what?
I'm happy with 15. I think 15's like it's probably enough to have loads of violence, but
It
I don't
depends
like
what's
gory,
in it,
I don't
'cause
like really gory stuff, so maybe not. Too
Is this
bad.
going to be swearing in it, or
Yeah, it's I think the Insight, which is what they produce to give you an indication of what's going to be in it, says strong bloody violence and strong
What was
language.
Deadpool?
Pretty much the same 15.
15.
Was it?
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
that level of violence, I'm happy with that.
was it
Yeah.
only a 15?
Yeah. But then Suicide Squad was a 15, and that was tame as hell.
It
So
was actually.
But I think it's things like that where it's like just explosions that never really happen in everyday life. That kids are like, wow, they fascinate about it.
Yeah.
So it can't, you can give them something to imagine.
Mm.
But when it's like psychological thrillers and drug use, things like that, that's obviously could be a reality.
True.
So
yeah, that's true. There's always context taken into account of these things, I think. Actually, I wanted to ask you, you guys, a question. So Obi and I saw Fences on Friday, and that was rated 12. But they used quite a lot of, strong language, or the N word. Do you think that that's kind of appropriate for 12-year-olds? That level of language? Is it like equivalent to fuck, or is it kind of?
I imagine 12-year-olds are quite impressionable, so you could argue that, if people watch a film and they hear, like, shit, bitch, fuck, whatever, stuff like that, getting as many swear words as I can, then they're more likely to go and use that in everyday language in the playground and whatnot. So, I don't know, maybe if they hear the N-word, then, again, be more likely to use that in the everyday playground. I mean...
it's not really a kids' film, though, is it?
No, it's not really.
I think they'd just get bored, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
Like,
but the thing you couldn't be like, oh yeah, this film's a 15, because apart from that using the N-word, there wasn't really any sort of thing to make you think this should be rated. Only 15-year-olds should see this.
But if a film contains 4 or 5 uses of fuck, it will be a 15.
Really?
Even if it's say, for example,
what happened about Kick-Ass though? Because Wasn't there as a big thing about that because she was only however
She
old?
was like 10. She said cunt.
Yeah.
Yeah, but that's the thing. Like, so there's obviously a kind of threshold where if you exceed the language, it'll be. So you could have Finding Dory, but if Finding Dory says fuck 5 times, it will be a 15. Whether I guess they're trying to stop, kids from being exposed to this sort of language. But I mean, I don't know. I was just kind of curious because I guess that sort of language in Fences is something that you don't want kids to be using, especially.
Yeah.
I was just thinking, like, for
I'd
me,
imagine though a child or a parent would be sensible enough to teach their children, even at that age, not to use certain words. But
yeah.
Whether or not they actually obey those rules is a completely different story. But who knows?
So we're all kind of happy with a 15 for Logan, hoping it's going to be
Fine.
violent and sweary. Although, have you
Well,
seen...
that's his character, isn't it? He's supposed to be this ill-tempered
Old man.
old man. Yeah.
Old man Logan.
But have you seen the latest trailer for it, where they've got like the violence and shit?
Sorry.
Yeah, with the girl.
Yeah, because you got Patrick Stewart as Professor Xavier. He's swearing in it. I'm like, why?
It's weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it
It's
doesn't
weird.
doesn't like
Yeah, suit.
go with his character.
Doesn't
I mean,
suit.
it does go with Logan or Wolverine, but
Well, it depends. How much would you be swearing if your world had been completely turned upside down? That's what I'm assuming has happened. Like, there's no more mutants, and they're
Yeah.
It's just out of his character, though, isn't it?
Yeah,
Really.
true.
it is because even like in the X-Men First Class and Days of Future Past, Wolverine does swear in it.
Yeah, that was
Like-
fun. Which one was the one they walked into the bar and he was like, "Fuck off"? Or something?
Yeah, that was X-Men First
Yeah,
Class.
that was
So with his character, you kind of think, oh yeah, okay, it's that is within his character. But Professor X, like even Patrick Stewart,
It's too sophisticated.
as
Maybe
an actor,
Logan's been rubbing off on him.
Maybe.
And it's just been stuck with him.
maybe, but it just kind of seems really odd. They kind of gratuitous in that sense.
Well, it's in the trailer. It doesn't necessarily mean it be in the film.
Oh,
that's a good
yes,
point.
very good
Ooh,
point.
very good point. Yeah.
So.
Ah.
I was going to ask, sorry, keeping within the film news. So there's rumours that Ben Affleck wants to drop out of Justice League wants to not be Batman after the Justice League films have finished. So who would you guys think you want to be?
Well,
To be Batman, if you
I'd
did,
assume that if that was the case, then they would incorporate a Robin somewhere, and then that Robin. But that doesn't really happen in the comics. But I mean, that's how
Yeah.
they'd have to do it.
I think if they want to extend this universe beyond Justice League 2 or whatever it's going to be, they need to have a consistent Batman. You can't halfway through be like, oh hey, Matt Damon, how you doing? You know, it's got to be. They've got to somehow change that over.
Yeah, I'd like to see that.
I mean, I'm,
Jason Bourne as Batman.
but I'm assuming at some point, like even in the Marvel universe, there's going to be a change of Iron Man or something. But they'll have.
There's already been. So Captain America, he played Torch for the Fantastic Four
Oh,
Yeah.
years ago. So
That's true.
there's already that crossover. And they've remade Fantastic Four anyway, so...
Or they could just digitally recreate Ben Affleck. Do you know what I mean?
Well, maybe because some people, I assume, would speculate that it's based on his family life that he doesn't want to be part of it. Maybe
What's up with his family life?
isn't he? Well, according to this, Jennifer Garner to divorce Ben Affleck. That was in February, so maybe that has some background as to why he doesn't want to focus on it. I don't know, or maybe because of all the backlash he got from playing Batman originally. Although I thought it was probably the best part of
I think he did really
Batman
well as
versus
Batman.
Superman. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was one of the people who was doubting him because I thought he was rubbish in Daredevil.
Yeah, well, maybe because he's a massive film buff. Well, yeah, he's a film buff and he's a comic buff. Maybe he just doesn't want to see something ruined, really. Maybe he thinks...
He doesn't seem the kind of guy to do lots of sequels.
No.
Yeah.
Like
that's
he
true.
does, what's the film, The Accountant, and plenty of others that have recently come out with Ben Affleck. He's storming the cinema.
What's he most recently done?
There was Live by Night, which I didn't get to see.
Because the accountant is the most recent one, isn't it?
But doesn't bode well for just the DC Extended Universe,
No,
does it?
because they
Like,
want to release a film in 2018, I think, a Batman film.
yeah, I mean, they haven't had particularly... I mean, they've had financial success with the films that they've released, but critically and kind of, you know, the response from the audience hasn't been great. I think people just watch them like we kind of do because they're comic book films and we kind of want to be able to talk about them.
They need to get Christopher Nolan back, basically.
Yeah, they could have Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Robin.
Well, he was more than happy to do another film, wasn't he, Christopher Nolan? But he wanted... what's his face? Who was Batman in the other one?
Christian Bale.
Christian Bale, so... and he just rejected that massive offer, didn't they? They got given.
That'd be great if they did a 4 film.
Yeah.
That'd be
Just
amazing.
leave it at 4. Don't do a trilogy. Don't do 6 like Star Wars. Just leave it at 4. Just why not?
Oh, that would be good actually.
Also, I think Mel Gibson, off the back of Hacksaw Ridge, is rumoured to be directing Suicide Squad 2, which I guess we've all seen Hacksaw Ridge, so I guess if it's as visceral and as kinetic as Hacksaw Ridge was,
Yeah.
I'd be quite happy for that.
What was Hacksaw Ridge for rating wise? That was 15. Wasn't
15, which I was actually quite surprised at because it was quite gory.
it? That was very gory.
What makes it higher than the 15? What is the bracket making it higher than the 15?
In general, or just in terms of what, violence, or?
I don't know.
think that's
I
severe
assume it's
violence.
collective,
So-
isn't it?
Drug use.
I mean, there could be things. So frequent uses of the C word would push it.
How frequent?
I mean, it's kind of, they base it on the context of the film.
Right, okay.
So there's a film called Dom Hemingway with Jude Law, and he says it quite a lot, but he doesn't use it in an aggressive context. So it's like if we just use it like, casually, then it's not as impactful as if you direct it at a female or aggressively at someone, or using it in conjunction with violence or racist language, then that will probably push it up. Violence that, and I don't work for the BBFC, so I'm just kind of going by what I think. So
Well, yeah, anyway.
so if anyone from the BBFC wants to kind of educate us on this, then please do.
Or hire Glenn.
Or hire all of us.
Do it. But I think in terms of violence, I think it's if they sort of focus on pain and if it kind of like a sadistic way. So like blood is kind of alright, but if it's kind of like slicing someone slowly and and then in terms of, I think, sex is if it's kind of unsimulated or if it's kind of fetishistic and things like that.
See some tits.
And then drug use, I think, is if you see the preparation of drug use, because then it can be imitable.
So would that make Breaking Bad an 18?
That's literally what... You're in my head, man. That's literally what I was thinking. That's so weird.
I think some episodes of Breaking Bad were 18.
Oh, were they? Because
Yeah.
I know that they were told to make it incorrectly during the break, because that is not the way you make crystal
Yeah.
meth, apparently. So.
Oh, you just shattered, mate.
But you got things like things like Trainspotting 1 and Requiem for a Dream, because they actually focus on like how you cook heroin. Actually, I don't know if that's right, but it's kind of not glamorizing it, but it could be imitated.
Is Requiem for a Dream the one with Marlon Wayans in it?
Yeah.
I need to watch that. 'Cause
That-
apparently he does really well on that.
Requiem for a Dream is a great film, but it's really, really
I'm
depressing.
not watching anymore. It's depressing films. Okay, no, I'm not watching.
Yeah, I mean, now we're going to talk about the Oscars, but
God.
so many of those films are so fucking depressing.
That's why they win the Oscars, isn't it?
That's
Because
the thing,
people
like-
play the role really well, don't they?
Oh.
So
I think, I don't know, like how they really.
Play a controversial role. You win an Oscar.
Yeah, like I don't know how they sort of decide who's nominated or which ones are going to be selected, but they're all so depressing, man. Like I want a happy film to win an Oscar. Like,
I want a comedy.
so we watched recently, collectively we've watched Hidden Figures, Fences, Hacksaw Ridge, Arrival, Moonlight, La La Land, and Manchester by the Sea. And apart from
no.
La La Land, I don't think Lego Batman's Oscar nominated, unfortunately.
What a shame.
Oh,
I don't know about you.
Best
You
animated
can,
film.
you can
So
tell.
Hidden Figures is
Is it happy?
it's a happy ending.
Okay.
It's a bit muddly in the middle.
So was it a struggle to get to the point in which?
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Well, just as usual, there's probably
Oh,
going
yeah,
to be
spoilers.
spoilers.
Yeah.
But
Spoilers.
please don't. I'm going to close my ears because I haven't watched it yet.
Oh, okay. I'll try and be vague. So basically,
You can spoil it. I don't mind.
No, I'll be vague. So like, it's the 60s. So obviously, there's some civil rights, but not a lot of civil rights. There's like protests and all that going on, so you can see stuff like that, and just like little things like different fountains for one says coloured, one says whites, different toilets. So one of the, I don't know if it's a trope or how I'd say it, in the film is that the main actress in it, she gets like moved to a different building to work on like the big project of them going up to space and whatnot. But then she has to go to the toilet and there's no coloured toilet there, so she has to like walk or run half a mile to the other building, go to the toilet, run half a mile back, come back to the toilet. and they keep saying like, why are you gone 40 minutes every day? And obviously she gets really upset about that because there's nowhere for her to go to the toilet. Things like that. Things like they wouldn't drink from the same kettle full of coffee from her. There was a point where one of the main characters went to a library with her sons, and they were like, basically like, you're not allowed here, and they had to kick her out. So things like that. Obviously it's depressing, but there are some moments that kind of like show progress, the progress of that time. So it does get better, and by the end, it's good. By the end, and obviously you see what everything they've achieved at the end of it. So it's good. So that was the by far the least depressing of the films of the films that the Oscar nominated films that I've watched. So that was good.
Even La La Land, which is like this fluffy musical, like
They didn't even end up together.
I know, yeah.
What kind of nonsense is that?
That's
Yeah,
the
spoilers. But
I was just like, oh my god, I really wanted them to
After
get
all that.
together, and I was just like, oh, this is such a downer.
innit? Can I? My
Was it like an open ending or like?
No.
no, it was
Could they have-
definitively closed shut. They weren't together. She got married to some other dude, had a kid, and he was just
So the whole
doing his own
film's
thing.
about this musician and this budding actress, and they meet a few times, and then they become like romantic, and you know they sing in the street and they dance, and they're like happy, and then she moves to Paris,
Yeah.
and then right at the end
5
of
years later.
then she's with some other dude.
I feel like she was a massive hypocrite in that film. It really infuriated me. Like she told him to go and do music. He did music. Then he wanted to go on tour, and she was like, "No, don't go on tour."
Yeah,
Then he's like, "Oh, do your acting." She does her acting, and then she goes off.
yeah,
She does like exactly what she told him not to do.
yeah.
That's what really annoyed me, and that's probably shows why they didn't end up together in the end, because they both were very conflicting interests and well, not interests but opinions of things and how things should be done. So.
I just gone for I've watched like an hour and a half or 2 hours of this film, and I don't even get the payoff that I wanted in terms of.
Do you know what's quite don't know what the word is, but you know, as it last week we were talking about Scrubs and talking about the season 8 finale and how they do the curtain ending of the
Yeah.
film
Yeah.
and all that. They kind of did the same thing in La La Land. So like when they were in the club and he starts playing the piano and then she just well, I think they do like a scene where they play it out as if they were what would happen if they ended up together, and that was nice, obviously. But then that was cut short. But it went back to reality, and I was like, whatever. So La La Land, I didn't like it. I didn't like it. You did. Do you like it?
No, I didn't.
You didn't like it. Do you like it?
I don't like musicals, but I did quite like La La Land.
Okay, that's fair enough.
Have you seen it, Ollie?
I have
I
not.
haven't
No.
seen it yet.
So what were your issues with La La Land? Let's focus on that now.
My main issues were that I was quite bored throughout the whole thing. It
I
didn't.
agree.
It didn't really grab me all that much. I'm not sure why, but it just didn't. I thought that maybe the first until they meet properly at that party, that pool party, everything up to there I thought was so boring. I was so bored. I didn't know what was going on, and it was pissing me off. I thought that the songs weren't very good. They didn't
Really?
They,
You didn't think
they
they're
didn't
catchy?
really. They didn't really catch my
No?
attention, and I thought that the songs were very. I don't know. I'm used to watching. If I'm watching a music, I'm used to watching shows where it kind of builds up to a moment where you know a song was coming. But in La La Land, the songs just came. There was no like intro or there was no like leading into it. The songs just happened, and I was like, "This is weird." I was literally, I was just like, "This is weird." Like,
So it's
I
up for a lot of
agree.
awaards. You
Yeah.
don't think it's going to win, or you don't think it deserves to?
oh, it's going to win plenty of awards. It's going to win plenty of awards. I don't think it should, but it will. White people singing, that's going to win awards. That's going to win awards.
We can talk about that a little bit more later, actually, about whether we feel like the film's going to deserve it. But Chris, I want to hear your thoughts on why you didn't like La La Land. 'Cause-
Pretty much the exact same as what Obi just said.
Okay.
To be honest. Like, it didn't grab me at all.
you didn't like
Such naysayers I'm surrounded by. I love a
naysayers say
musical.
nay.
So do I.
I like
Mate,
musical.
I watch Glee. I love musicals, but that was just. It was just. I don't know.
It was boring.
It was boring.
there was-
Yeah.
It
was
didn't
boring.
engage me enough. Maybe because I don't know. Maybe if people really like romantic films, maybe that would gauge them a bit more. But then at the end, it's not really a happy ending.
Exactly.
That's what you want, isn't it?
Exactly. You don't even get a payoff. Do you know what I did like? Probably the only thing I liked about the film. I liked the music that he was playing when he went into the band with John Legend. That was,
Oh, yeah.
that was the only bit
Oh,
of
that
music
was
in the
pretty
whole,
good, yeah, that
the
was
whole
actually.
musical that I liked.
So I found the songs actually quite catchy. I mean, the opening set piece on the highway. I think we talked about this in episode 1 of the podcast. I was watching this and I was like,
Yeah.
fucking hell, this is going to be shit.
Yeah. Even that, it was so like it just happened. It wasn't like
Yeah.
it wasn't like there's nothing building up to. Literally, the film started and they just got out of the car and started singing, and I was like,
Do you know what? Next time there's a Southern Rail strike, I'm gonna just stand up and be like, "City of Stars,"
Yeah.
just like start a whole
I'll start
flash
dabbing
mob.
and see if someone else
The
does.
whole flash mob. That'll make the journey
I
to
thought it
Clapham
was so
Junction a little bit
weird.
easier.
Yeah.
But no, I think because I really don't really like musicals, but I find it quite catchy. The motif it's like do 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 do
Do you know what?
do do do.
I liked. Sorry, if I was cutting you off then, but I liked. You know, he was playing piano and he kept playing that little like.
Motif.
Yeah, I don't know if that's exactly what you were just saying, but I really liked his little riff or whatever.
Yeah.
And at the end when he like got to finish like his whole thing, I thought that was good. But yeah.
So it has its merits, but we're not impressed.
No, so 6.5 out of 10.
6. That's not too bad actually.
It's
I
not
thought you were going to give it much lower.
No.
I'll go for a 6.
6. Okay. I think in terms of the context of musicals, I'd probably give it a 7.5.
Oh, in terms of concept of musicals, I'm giving it a 4.
Fair enough. Okay, well, one film that we've kind of spoken about a little bit, and I think we all have seen Hacksaw Ridge. Kind of a return to form for Mel Gibson because I think he was ostracised a bit from Hollywood due to like comments he's made and actions he's done. But
He's back behind the camera.
yeah,
Although he did Apocalypto.
that was years ago, man.
I like that.
Is
though.
that a really
Yeah,
messed
it was
up
good.
film?
I think it's in
That was
Mayan,
like that
isn't it?
Aztecs.
I don't think I've seen anything Mel Gibson
Don't
related
watch it,
since.
you won't like
Oh,
it.
really?
No.
I haven't seen anything. The last Mel Gibson thing I saw was like Passion of the Christ. that was ages ago, wasn't it?
That was like 2003.
Yeah. That was the last thing I saw of him, innit? I think.
What do you think then?
For Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah.
Loved it. I really did. Yeah, it was. I think Vince Vaughn was really great actually
Yeah,
as
he
his
kinda
role.
was, yeah.
because like in Dodgeball, he never plays this like
Serious
serious character with lots of emotion. So Dodgeball, he's literally average Joe. That's his team.
Yeah.
So it was nice to see him with a real
Isn't he
passion.
quite serious in that one with Jennifer Aniston though?
Not really. That's quite. I think that's a rom-com, isn't it? I think.
Which one's
true,
it? Sorry.
The breakup.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But I get what you mean though. He's proper down to earth.
I've got-
Yeah, he
I
was,
was-
he was trying to be quite serious in
Yeah.
True Lies, True Detective. If any of you have seen that,
Haven't seen series 2 of that. Was it good? Series 2.
yeah, it's okay, but it's not as good as the first.
Okay, so I quite liked Vince Vaughn, but when he was delivering his lines, did you kind of laugh?
I
even
Yeah,
though-
definitely.
I was
You're
sitting
looking
there-
at him and like,
yeah.
where's Ben Stiller
Yeah,
coming?
yeah.
He's coming out.
or Owen Wilson or something like that.
because
Yeah.
like he was playing that kind of typical army general like you see in a lot of war films, and it's like, go on maggot, like basically insulting them, which is in itself quite funny. So did you see his performance as serious, or did you see it as he was the light relief? Was he like the comic character?
I think it's a bit of both.
Yeah,
to be
I
honest.
agree.
I think at points like you were just saying, that was the light relief he had, but like he did play a proper serious role, and he was like telling the other guy to help out other
Yeah.
people, and you could tell that in his acting that as what he was portraying that he wanted that guy to have a gun essentially and go to war because he thought it was ridiculous otherwise. But I think he played pretty good.
Yeah, do you think it worked as a comedy actor playing that serious role?
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Are there any other, just a little tangent, any other comedy actors that you think have done really good dramatic work?
Does Will Smith count?
I guess because Will Smith started in
Fresh Prince.
Fresh
Yeah,
Prince.
but the majority of his stuff he does now, it is typically serious, isn't it?
It's sci-fi more, isn't it?
Well, I don't know, Pursuit of Happiness.
Okay.
Yeah, but that's not most of his stuff.
I know, but I was going to name a few more. But
Oh,
yeah,
no,
you
go
are,
on, name some more then.
you
Go
are
on.
right, to be fair, it is predominantly sci-fi, isn't it?
Okay,
It's
so
like
Will
iRobot,
Smith
Legends.
has kind of
Okay.
changed his what he's typecast for, I guess. Anyone seen anything that Jim Carrey's done, like seriously? He's done Number 23 and Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. They're the ones that come to my
I can't.
Okay.
I don't think.
Wasn't that one something about Phil or something? What was it? Oh. What was that one?
Philip Morris?
Philip Morris. Wasn't that meant to be quite serious, but at the same time funny?
I haven't seen that.
Oh,
Yeah, well.
no, I haven't seen it.
I'm not really a fan of watching comedy actors who they've got to be in comedy films and then trying to do a serious role, because that kind of like, if they're trying to do it as a career move, like get into the serious acting, then you always think of them as they're a comic actor and they can't really Not that they can't do it, but it doesn't really fit the bill.
But do you think it adds weight to their performance if you think, oh,
Like
this
they
is
can
a...
do.
Yeah.
So like with Vince Vaughn, you look at him, you think, oh, it's going to be a funny performance, and then he actually does some, like, for want of a better word, proper acting, and you're like, oh, actually, he's actually quite a good actor.
Yeah, well, that was a
Yeah.
big surprise actually, and that's why.
I think
I
you
thought
rate
that
it
was.
more if they can-
Yeah,
if you
because
make
it's
a film.
versatility, isn't
Yeah.
it? Because you've got someone like when Tom Cruise did Tropic Thunder, and he was comic, you know, because you kind of have this perception of him as an action hero and quite serious. But
Tom Cruise.
yeah,
Tropic Thunder.
yeah, he's the fat guy, Len. But I
Yes,
think
that is hilarious.
Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind is a brilliant film, and Jim Carrey's really good in that, and that's a dramatic performance. James Franco, he can do some quite serious stuff.
I've not seen a serious film in a minute. I know there are.
He did
some-
127 Hours,
Spider-Man
Yeah,
3.
that's true.
and he was in one with Jonah Hill, which was called, I think it was called True Story,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
I've
think
seen
remember-
that.
I
that
haven't
was
seen
I really
That's a
liked
really good
that,
film,
and they were
actually, yeah.
both really like good
Mm.
actors. And obviously Jonah Hill's been nominated for 2 Oscars, so he can't
Was
be
he
too
been
bad.
nominated in what film for?
Wolf of Wall Street, which I
Really?
guess is kind of a comedy. Yeah,
He got nominated for an Oscar for that.
he got nominated. Yeah,
For what?
and
Best supporting actor.
yeah,
Really?
and also Money. I think it was Moneyball.
Oh,
That's mental.
I know.
No, not Moneyball. The fucking he got nominated for Best Supporting Actor for
well,
Wall Street.
it got quite a lot of.
Well, we're going to talk more about nominations in a sec, but let's go back to Hacksaw Ridge.
Yeah, sorry.
I thought, and correct me if you disagree, it was such a visceral performance. Not performance, visceral film. Like
Explain visceral for me, please.
visceral was like violent and kind of hard hitting,
Okay.
kinetic. Do you know kinetic? Like
Yeah, yeah.
frantic, and it really visceral. Like you got violence, but visceral is kind of impacts you, and you kind of not feel like it's happening to you, but it's you can sort of feel it having an effect on you. But what do you think about the first half? Was kind of
Like the lead up to
The lead-
him
yeah.
going away.
establishing him as a character and his relationship, and then the sec is very much a film with 2 halves, isn't it? Like the second half is full on, you know, Saving Private Ryan action.
Yeah, I think I don't know how to say it, but I kind of misjudged the film because, like you say, it was a film with 2 halves, and I normally take films for like thirds. So obviously you got the beginning, the middle, like the meat of the film, and then you got the end. And so when the second half of the film was happening, like all the war bits, I thought that was the middle. So and obviously that bit was really really good, but it kind of just ended. He got carried off in that thing in the what's it called, and it just ended. And I was like, oh, it's finished. I was expecting like to be a bit more, you know, like conclusion. I don't know if I was the only
No,
one.
I
I
agree.
was the only one.
Also, I must have missed this part, but did his brother? I'm assuming his brother died.
His brother lived. His brother lived.
His brother lived?
I googled it. They didn't. I think
They just kind of he
they
went
didn't
off.
really say.
The dad was really upset that he went off, and then that was it.
In
Wasn't
the
it?
credits, you know, in the credits when they were showing little clips of the actual people saying stuff.
Yeah.
His brother was in one of the clips.
Oh.
I can't remember what his name was though. Val. Was it Val? Or something
I literally have no idea.
like that? Excuse me, sorry.
Yeah, no, it's good to know though, because
Yeah, yeah.
besides that, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah, he lived.
Well,
I was thinking the same. I'm thinking, are they going to show his brother? But they showed him in the clip.
Oh.
But did you feel it worked having the 2 kind of
Oh, yeah.
very different tonal halves?
Yeah,
I think it did. I think they often overlook that in war movies because they're thinking like, oh, the only reason a lot of people might see these films is not for the blood and gore, but for the action. And you know, Saving Private Ryan was obviously very emotional as well, and it had really great acting in. But that like the action it started off very chaotic, but
Yeah.
it was like distributed throughout the film.
Yeah.
Whereas this, it was just like the lead up, and I think it is overlooked there.
I was
Training.
going to ask, did you like Andrew Garfield's performance as Desmond Doss? Do you think it was good?
I quite liked it.
Do you
But
think it was worthy of Oscar nomination?
I can see why
Hmm.
he was Oscar nominated.
I don't think he'll win.
You don't?
But
Did
do
you
you think he should
think?
have been nominated?
I mean, he for the role he played, yeah. Whether
Do you think he
I don't-
deserves to win?
No, because it was good, but whether it was above, I don't know. It just didn't really seem to.
I liked his accent. I
Yeah.
thought it was really
This might be being very, very cynical, but do you think whoever played Desmond Doss would have been nominated because it was such a kind of heroic story?
So there's a good case for that, I think. Yeah.
Because I think, and again, this is very cynical, a lot of Oscar-nominated films are about celebrating how great America is, or American heroes, or like people who've gone through a lot. And I'm not saying that those
Eddie Redmayne theory of
yeah.
everything.
So I mean, obviously their stories deserve to be told, but I kind of feel like if you want to get an Oscar-nominated film, the prerequisite is to have if another fairly good actor played that role, whether they would have been.
I'm surprised they cast him actually, because he hasn't done a lot beforehand, has he? Not that I know of. Because I know there's obviously loads of, like, for years, Leo DiCaprio's been doing these fantastic roles in great films, but everyone's been saying, oh, he should get an Oscar for this. He got one last year, but, Andrew Garfield's kind of just come out of the woodwork with this, like, great performance in a really good film. So maybe he does deserve it, I don't know.
Okay, so do we feel that Hacksaw Ridge deserves any Oscars? And if so, what for? I mean, I can tell you that
It's up for quite a few.
It's
Best
nominated
Picture, isn't it?
for. These are the main ones. It's nominated for Best Picture, Best Actor Andrew Garfield, and I thought it was up for Best Director, but I don't think it is. Oh, it is up for Best Director. So they're the main ones. It's probably up for like others, maybe like editing or.
Best Director might win actually, because that was pretty good. But then what's it up against? Who are the other Best Directors?
Okay, so Best Directing, you got Arrival, La La Land, Manchester by the Sea, and Moonlight.
Oh, I think
Moonlight might win it.
Moonlight?
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can talk a bit about Moonlight later.
I haven't seen it, but the whole... I feel like that, because of the way you were talking about it, it seems like it could have been directed quite well.
Yeah.
La La Land might even win. I don't like it, but it's been claimed quite well, hasn't it? So
having seen all of those films, I think, in terms of directing, Hacksaw Ridge was the best. And I would hope that wins it. But I do feel like La La Land might sweep the board undeservedly.
I'm just going to say, quickly, about Desmond Doss. Well done to him for managing to suppress his psychopath side, because it was at the beginning of the film. He hit his brother in the head with a brick and he nearly killed him. I was thinking, like, what kind of monster? Like, you're play fighting with your brother and you think, oh, there's a brick on the floor.
But his dad was an abusive alcoholic.
So that means you should hit your brother in the head with a brick.
But
his dad was like, I'm going to beat whoever is the winner or whoever is the loser. So
he
would do whatever.
He was killed his brother.
He felt pretty shit afterwards, didn't he?
So he should have.
If you've grown up in a family of violence, and maybe that predetermines you.
I'm not having it.
But I think that maybe that made him think, I don't want to.
Oh, that is. But that's the main thing of the film. Is think I nearly killed my brother. I'm not going to be violent ever again. I'm like, that's fine. But in the first instance, the boy was a fucking psychopath. What I'm saying, because I wouldn't reach for a brick, man. That's nuts.
In the film, especially the second half during the war bits, what are your opinions on the fact that they spend no time at all focusing on the enemy? That the Japanese people are literally just there to be slaughtered. There's no Japanese character that you can empathise with or that you can relate to. They don't do anything. They're not humanised in the film. Is that a negative, or is that kind of just the fact that it's war, all about the American soldiers, and maybe, do you need that balance, or?
I don't really think.
Well, it was celebrating his story, wasn't it? Really,
Yeah.
so you can never really include a story from the other side. I mean, it's always good to round it off, but as Hollywood love good American film.
Patriotism.
Now we got Patriots Day with Mark Wahlberg coming out in a few weeks.
Yeah.
I think the war itself was, like, Desmond Doss's story was the primary story. The war was secondary, so like it was just kind of happening in the background. So they didn't really pay much attention to the Japanese thing. I didn't watch the film thinking, oh, they should focus more on Japanese. So me personally, it didn't bother me that they didn't focus on them. Like, they were there for the slaughter.
I think also if you make the Japanese also almost inhuman in the whole thing, like they're just coming at you for the war, it also enhances Andrew Garfield's role in it, because he's just going in no care in the world besides trying to save all these people. So maybe it enhances his role in it and
That's true.
makes it so that what he's doing seems more significant. Well, it is significant, but like almost more significant because he's just going in there and he could just be killed at any moment because they don't care.
He tried to save a few Japanese people as well, didn't he?
He
I think he did, yeah.
Oh, he did.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah, I thought that was quite a nice moment.
But they conveniently all died.
Yeah.
I think.
In terms of the film ending with interview footage of him and pictures. When that happens in films, because that also happened with Lion.
And Hidden Figures.
Oh, does it?
Yeah.
And didn't it happen in Fighter as well? The one with who plays Batman in Christopher Nolan's film? Christian Bale. He played Fighter, isn't it? In Fighter. Yeah. Didn't that happen in the end of that as well?
Probably. And pretty much a lot of films that have like based on a true story, they like validate it through having these pictures or images.
Yeah.
Do we need that?
I like it.
You like it?
I like it. It gives you a sense of who they actually are.
Yeah.
Although
Yeah.
what really bugged me was the pictures of him, and he had this great moustache, but Andrew Garfield did not have a moustache in his role.
Yeah, I actually quite like that because it actually you can watch a film and you think, okay, you know, it might be based on a true story, but maybe in the fact that there was a guy called Chris, right? So it's like that's the true part of it. But I guess it does validate it, and I personally quite like and kind of want that validation because otherwise you just sort of, you know, things like Amityville Horror based on a true story. It's like, well, how much of that was based on a true story? Like, show me some evidence. I think films get a little bit of criticism for that, but I actually kind of respect it, and it kind of, especially with Lion, like so to spoil the ending of Lion, you see the real Saru meet his real mum, because the whole story is about he's lost his family and he tries to find them, and then that moment was recorded, and it kind of really hits home. It's like, shit, you're actually watching such a poignant moment, and then like even the actors then go and meet them, and it's kind of, wow, this is like this actually happened. It kind of makes the whole film more empathetic and emotive. So I quite like that. But
me too.
It's quite a emotionally draining watching Oscar films.
Also, sorry, I thought it was the sickest shot of that film, like right at the end where they throw like 2 grenades, he slaps one away and then did some scorpion kick on the other one.
Yeah.
I thought that was sick. Like the way they did it in like slow motion as well. That was nuts. Yeah. Well done to whoever decided to do that shot.
Was it Giroud-esque?
It was.
So other depressing Oscar-nominated films. Actually, any Oscar-nominated film is pretty much depressing. I don't know if you've seen Manchester by the Sea.
I haven't.
Well, it's meant to be quite good though, isn't it?
It was good, but after the end of it, I was like, oh my god, I'm so unhappy. Like, literally, the film, it's just one bad thing after another, and I don't think that was based on a true story, and thank God for that, because it's, you know, I think depressing films get Oscar nominated because obviously the actors have to do like really deep performances, but I just kind of want like a Lego Batman or a Hangover or something that makes you laugh to just be nominated, because you know you get like, oh, I'm gonna watch the Oscar nominated films, and you just by the end of February you're like, oh, life's shit.
I agree. I agree strongly. Sometimes I just want to be happy. Well, most of the
that's
time,
the films
most of the time I wanna be
later
happy.
coming out this year. All the happier films are
True.
coming out later.
But do you not think that like films that are entertaining in a comic or a happy sense, do you feel like some of those deserve Oscar nominations?
I don't know, because you can rewatch them over and over. Whereas if you, like you're saying about Manchester by the Sea, you're not selling it to me. I don't want to go see it.
Yeah.
And if I ever did, I haven't seen it yet, but it doesn't sound like the film that I'm going to want to watch over and over. Whereas an entertainment film like the Dark Knight trilogy or whatever film it is, entertainment wise, I could watch that film over and over if it's on telly or.
So if a film is entertaining and rewatchable,
I think that's its award, isn't it? Because people will always watch it and think about it or talk about it, whereas you don't really talk about these Oscar-nominated films so much, I guess.
Yeah. So are the Oscars kind of used for marketing or to get these like smaller films that no one would, you know, a few people would see?
It's kind of like recognition to the people they're portraying in the film. So, but also, you know, for the directing and for the best picture and things like that. But I'm sure there's plenty of other films that we can think of that might deserve an award. But
because the film, it's
put
like
it on DVD. So
you got like best picture. Surely, obviously, best is quite a subjective term. But if a film is the most entertaining, and I guess a barometer of that is how much money it makes, because if people go and see it and pay lots of money, then I guess they're entertained, or at least the marketing's worked. But so I feel like we all, apart from you, Ollie, agreed that Captain America: Civil War was our favourite film of 2016.
Yeah.
And whilst we have a bias because we are fans of superhero films, that was, you know, if that was for a lot of people the best film of 2016, why is it not nominated?
Yeah.
I mean, Deadpool was nominated for a Golden Globe.
Do you think they should get a Best Picture though? Civil War, that was just CGI. That doesn't count.
But why does having CGI mean it's not, shouldn't be thought of as a best film? What, again, we can debate all day what best means, but you know, just because it's entertaining, and I mean, obviously these Oscar nominated films are entertaining, but in terms of, you know, fun and action packed, should that basically mean it shouldn't be considered?
For me, it would be which one I enjoyed watching the most, basically, and which one I'd come out thinking that was really, really, really good. Like, I think if I watch a film and it's a film that I wouldn't watch more than once, then that's a film for me that couldn't be nominated as best picture or whatever.
Okay.
I feel like I feel like they should be rewatchable. Like Fences, I could watch Fences again because I just think that's a really good film. Obviously, some people disagree, but
Okay, well, let's talk about Fences, because
Let's.
that's up for quite a few as well. Best Picture, Best Actor for Denzel Washington, and Best Supporting Actress for Viola Davis, amongst others. Obi, you and I went to see it.
we did.
What did you think of it?
I loved it personally. It's a film that I'll definitely go to see again. I thought the acting, like, pretty much there wasn't any weak actors in that whole thing. I think I went into it not knowing what it was going to be about, even though I'd watched the trailer like 3 or 4 times, which I think was quite good because it didn't give away the story. And it was basically just about like a man trying to like living his life basically in the 60s. I don't know what's wrong with me, but I feel like maybe because I'm black, but I quite enjoy watching people who go through a struggle. Does that make sense? So like in the 50s, 60s, 40s, whatever years it was. And the whole thing just seemed, I said to you after we watched it, it just seemed like it was just a long play. Like it was just lots and lots of dialogue. And I just think
Is that to its advantage as a piece of cinema? Is the fact that it's very like a play a positive to you?
I think so.
Okay.
I enjoyed the dialogue. I thought it was like doing like really long monologues. Everyone doing really long monologues, and I thought it was quite good.
See, it was a play, wasn't it? Based on August Wilson's play, which pretty much all.
Maybe I would have appreciated it more as a play had I seen it as a play. But
I think I agree with that. To be fair, I think if I'd watched it as a play, if I watched it in a theatre, I like it anyway. But if I watched it in a theatre, I'd prefer watching it in a theatre than I would watch it in a cinema.
Because I feel like in a cinema or as a piece of film, maybe we're just conditioned to that now, but you don't want an actor to speak for like 5 minutes with the camera just lingering on him. And I mean, the director did, actually Denzel
was the director.
Denzel, he did move it about a bit, was circling, but I kind of did feel like it was very like individual set pieces like you would in a play, and I kind of thought, well, you just want move into a different setting or break up the monologues a bit. But I thought the performance is brilliant. Denzel Washington, I think he should win Best Actor.
I think he should as well.
he's always fantastic in films.
really
He's
good.
always
He's
so good.
so good.
And what's the lady's name as well?
Viola
She was.
Davis.
She was amazing.
She was
in that.
incredible, and the part in the that's featured in the trailer quite a lot, where she says like, "I've been standing with you for 18 years."
Yeah.
That sent shivers down my spine. I was like,
snot nosed and all.
Yeah.
I was like, you've really
Yeah, she
committed
got
to this
it.
part. But hopefully she wins it. And even the guy who plays Gabe,
They missed a trick, not nominating for him for a best supporting actor. I thought he was so good.
Yeah,
Do you
he
think
was really
what's
good,
the guy got to
actually,
do to get best supporting actor?
He proper like even from his first scene, he literally proper broke my heart because it was just so sad, and like it was what's his face, Troy was trying to get him to come into the house and stuff like that, and he was talking about keeping away the devil and stuff like that, and I was just like, this is so heartbreaking. But yeah, I thought he was so good in every scene that he was in.
Yeah, generally, because I said to you, I was like, does he actually have mental health problems? And we found out he wasn't. I was like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
I know he's Barber from Forrest Gump.
That's the kind of thing, like when actors can portray that role and do it so well, where you're like in that kind of disbelief that they're not
Yeah.
in that role. That's phenomenal, and that's you're right. Maybe he should have been nominated.
Looking through the other best supporting actors, you've got Michael Shannon, Nocturnal Animals. His performance in that was really good. Dev Patel, Lion. Dev Patel is the main character of that. I don't understand why he's best supporting actor.
Probably couldn't fit him in as best actor.
Yeah, I kind of think maybe they thought he had a better chance of winning an Oscar if he wasn't
That's
up
fucking
against.
bullshit.
Yeah, I know.
I know. I think the Oscars are flawed. But anyway, you've got Lucas Hedges, Manchester by the Sea. That's a good performance from him. Jeff Bridges, Hell or High Water. Obi, you've seen that? I don't know.
He was really good. Yeah, no, Jeff Bridges was the old man who played the policeman. He was really good, actually. He was a bit of a dick. But,
so was Denzel Washington.
Yeah, that's true.
Troy Maxim's a prick.
Yeah, he was such a dick. I'll say I'm going to move on from Jeff Bridges, but even though his performance was actually really good. I don't think he should win an Oscar, though. But the reason I liked Troy Maxim's character was because, like, my dad's never going to listen to this, so my dad's a bit of a dick as well. or he can be at times. So I always appreciated where he was coming from, and sort of like the things like, you have to keep your job. To Corey, you have to keep your job, you have to stay in school. There's no point in chasing after this dream because the white man won't let you become a football star. You have to learn a trade, be good at your trade because no one can take your trade away from you. I understood that and I got where he was coming from, but it was the way he delivered it and the fact that he never seemed sorry for anything that he did made him seem like a dick. He never really redeemed himself. Yeah. But the principles that he was trying to teach his son, I completely understood.
I just think this is one of the things I did like about the film, is because I hated Denzel Washington's character. I thought he was selfish, he was a liar. But then the fact that I got so invested in his performance kind of makes me think actually I did really like it. Were
you sad when he died?
No, I wanted him to die. I was like, you deserve to die.
Chris, sad when he died?
I think I was a little bit because like you kind of feel like that relationship that they had was almost, it was really upsetting that they weren't closer and they didn't and it's like they didn't really connect with each other well enough, and it's like I mean, one scene that really infuriated me was the scene where they're going up the stairs. Oh no, he's trying to go up the stairs and he hasn't said excuse me, and he's like, well, you say excuse me before you come into my house.
And he wouldn't say excuse me.
And
Wait, what were you getting annoyed at?
I was getting annoyed that he wouldn't say excuse me.
Thank you.
But at the same time, I saw that he was angry and like maybe his dad should have been like, just say excuse me and just pester him to say excuse me. But he should have said excuse me. It's like, but the thing was when what's his character? Troy. When Troy is saying, well, no, it's my house. You've got to say excuse me. I feel like I was getting infuriated because that point wasn't the right point. He should have just been like, you got to have manners. Yeah, that's the point that he should have been honing in on. But like, obviously, like was he a drunk? Would we say he was?
No, he hadn't drunk once a week.
Okay.
So I think he was drunk on that day.
Yeah, it was like infuriating from both points because you're like, just say excuse me, just get in that house, just say excuse me, and then at the same time, just say you've got to say excuse me because just bring in another point. Don't be like it's my house because
that's the sort of thing that my dad would do, and I would literally. Even if I was angry at him, I would literally just say, excuse me, just to get it over and done with, so I can move out of the way. Obviously, for the progression of that scene, they kind of had to have them clash and him stand his ground so that they argued and fought and whatnot.
I wasn't sure whether he would win that fight as well.
Who, Denzel? Or,
yeah. I wasn't sure if he was going to win.
I genuinely thought Corey was going to smack him in the head with a baseball bat and kill him.
Yeah.
I thought that was how it was going to end.
Maybe he needs to get Andrew Garfield with that brick and just brick him. I did want a moment of reconciliation, though.
So did I. I really wanted.
Isn't almost the ending almost like that because he figures out that his dad really did like him as a son, and he does really like his dad because he cries for his dad. So is that not?
Yeah, the bit where they were doing the song that was really sad.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Sad. And then the bit with do you know what? Glenn was saying to me, he hopes the film makes me cry so we can talk about it in the podcast. Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna cry in front of you. Yeah. When Gabe did the trumpet thing, and he was like. They were like, oh, just stop. And he was like, no. And he kept doing it. And then he did it. And then the clouds opened up. And that nearly got me. I nearly went in that moment. I was like, that is...
Well, to go back to the final nomination for actor and supporting role, Mahershala Ali for Moonlight, which Ollie and Obi watched yesterday, he was in it for 15 minutes.
He wasn't in it enough to be...
And obviously you can deliver a good performance in that amount of time because Anthony Hopkins won Best Actor for Silence of the Lambs, and he was in it for like 9 minutes.
Mm.
But I was watching. I don't like pronouncing his name because I don't do it very well. But
Mr. Ali.
Mr. Ali's performance, it wasn't above and beyond. Like I kind of thought, oh, this is Remy from House of Cards, or this is Cottonmouth from Luke Cage. It wasn't like he. I don't think his role he had enough to do to warrant a best actor or best supporting actor.
They should have kept him alive a bit longer. I think.
Yeah, but you think he delivers an average performance in 15 minutes. The guy who plays Gabe in Fences delivers a heartbreaking performance over 2.5 hours, and he doesn't get recognised. I don't understand how that works.
I don't know if you're rewarded for just a single performance though. So Denzel Washington has already won an Oscar, and he is nominated for this. But like Leo only won last year, and it's not necessarily for that one performance because people were like, "Oh, he should have won it for Wolf of Wall Street," and I think it's for the
accumulation of films.
Yeah, like the impact that you've had.
Okay, but
so you're recognised for everything that you've done.
But then does
previously.
Mahershala Ali, who's, as far as I'm aware, not been in many full like proper films. He's done a few TV things, but does he deserve to?
I was gonna say, he's in Hidden Figures, so because that film's like being critically acclaimed and praised and everything like. Do you think that's maybe part of the reason why? So he's in 2 films that have both been really well praised, nominated for. Do you think maybe that might play a part in it?
Potentially, but then I think, what's her name? Amy Adams. She was in Nocturnal Animals, which is up for a few Oscars. Arrival, which is up for a few Oscars. And to be fair, her performance in both of those was brilliant. She's not nominated for either. And I've heard...
Oscar's so black.
I've heard people talk on like other podcasts and in the news that I think one theory is that she didn't get nominated because she was in both films and they couldn't decide which one to put her in.
Okay.
But
that
takes
kind
a
of
piss, isn't it?
Oh,
They're like, can
you were so good in these films. We can't choose.
At least flip a coin and choose one. Don't
Yeah,
not
do you know
choose
what I
one at
mean?
all.
And now, like, potentially, obviously this is just speculation, but if Mahershala Ali's been nominated for a combined total of, I don't know how long he's in figures for, but, based on
He
that...
won't win. He won't win Best Supporting Actor. I don't think he will anyway.
Is it almost? Could it be said it's sexism almost? How many women are nominated for the big?
Well, they've got separate categories for men and women,
But
right?
Yeah.
Best Actress.
Yeah.
Should they have separate categories for men and women? Should there be an overall
Yeah,
category?
because if I think if there was only one award, and it turns out, let's say a male or even a female wins Best Supporting Actor / Actress,
There'll be uproar.
3 or 4 years in a row,
this
it's
is
actually
true,
someone's gonna get someone's getting
Fair
angry.
play.
I think also a lot of films tend to focus on male protagonists.
That's true.
So that would therefore make, there probably would be more.
Yeah.
And you'd probably then end up having to have half and half for equal representation. I think it kind of works.
Yeah, fair enough. No, it's just.
But we haven't
see
really
people's thoughts.
spoken much about the Best Actress nominations. So we've got Viola Davis, Fences, Naomi Harris, Moonlight, Nicole Kidman, Lion, Octavia Spencer, Hidden Figures, and Michelle Williams, Manchester by the Sea.
I feel like there's only 5 or 6 films that are getting nominated for all these.
Yeah,
things.
That's true. That's very true.
And they've only what time is the Oscars based on? Like, what's the time period?
I think it's February. I think.
So this last month or two, where all these films have essentially come out.
Yeah, you release the films if you want them to.
Yeah, they
go
have
up
to-
for
Oh,
Oscar.
really?
Well,
There
that's,
is a-
that's why you wouldn't see a summer film
Yeah.
go up for an
Oh,
Oscar.
right, fair enough. Is there another awards thing earlier on in the year to give them awards, or?
There's other awards. There's quite a few other awards.
No, but I mean, like in the summertime, because then not them films are less likely to be nominated for the Oscars. Is there another award ceremony earlier in the year for them films to be nominated?
I don't know if they're
Golden
gonna-
Globes. When's that?
Golden Globes is a couple of weeks before the Oscars.
Oh, shame. Okay.
I think
So
So
so.
it
You got
depends what films come out later. in
Yeah,
the year.
yeah, true,
What
true.
do you think? Like, if there's a film that comes out that you think is worth Best Picture or
well,
Best Actor, Actress?
Zootopia or Zootropolis is nominated for Best Animated Film,
I
and that
suppose
came
it
out
comes
in the
summer,
summer.
Yeah.
But there is a time it has to be shown in a cinema in Los Angeles between
Oh
this
right,
time
oh,
and
okay,
this
there
time.
is. Oh right, so it's
But they do
100%,
tend to come out just before, and I think maybe that kind of biases it because obviously that's the most recent in the memory, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm.
You know, you think all of these films came out in the UK at least in the last month or two. But I mean, collectively we've seen all of the films that the best actresses are up for. Obi, what do you think about Octavia Spencer in Hidden Figures and Viola Davis and Naomi Harris?
Octavia Spencer, I thought she was really good. I don't think she should win the award, but she was really good. She played a very confident, strong, like dominant female character, who like wouldn't say no for no for an answer. There's a scene, I was saying about she was the person who took her two sons to the library, and she was looking for a book, and they said you can't. Basically, they kicked him out, so she just stole the book and started.
Okay.
Yeah, she was on the bus. She was reading it to her boys. I think that's nice. But yeah, her character was really good. She achieved a lot. I'll try not to give away anything. She's a really, really smart woman. There's a really nice. I don't know if I should give it away or not. There's a really nice moment, basically, where it seems that she gains the respect of someone who you think throughout the film it looks down on her, I suppose.
Okay.
And I think it's a really quite redeeming moment for the character, and like when you're watching it as well, I really liked it. So yeah, she was good. Viola Davis. The only thing I'd seen her in was before this was How to Get Away with Murder.
Suicide Squad.
Oh shit, yeah, Suicide Squad. Oh yeah. That film's rubbish. Anyway, yeah, How to Get Away with Murder, and she plays a completely different character to what she plays in Fences, and like just seeing how she does How to Get Away with Murder and how well she does Fences, it just confirms to me that she's a brilliant actress. I would probably like her to win it, just for the bit we were talking about with I was standing right there with you. That bit alone was just so gripping. So, and even her, she was. I suppose women in that time were probably looked on as subservient, subordinate to the man. But obviously, she was kind of. But then there was a point where she stood up for herself, and I was quite proud of her character for doing that. So I was quite. I don't know what the word is.
Moved.
Moved. Thank you, Chris. Very moved by the performance. I thought it was really good, and I hope she wins.
Okay.
And Naomi Harris. Sorry. Am I hogging this?
No, go.
Sorry. Naomi Harris. She's actually English, so I think her American accent is really, really good. I really liked it. I'm not sure if... I think they should have given her more crack-fueled scenes or drug addict-fueled scenes, because they only really gave her one, the bit where she was begging her son for money. They only really gave her one. I reckon they could have given her a couple more to kind of proper sink it in that she was hooked on this stuff. But for what they showed us and what she had to do, I thought she was quite good. You?
Yeah, I want Viola Davis to win. I think she deserves it. I've been lucky enough to see all of those films apart from Hidden Figures. Michelle Williams, Manchester by the Sea, brilliant performance. She plays this a mother. So her and Casey Affleck, they're married in flashbacks from Manchester by the Sea. It's about Casey Affleck's character. His brother dies and he becomes guardian of his nephew. And then is anyone going to see it? I don't want to spoil it. Okay, so spoilers. But it turns you learn, because Casey Affleck's like a really quiet and reserved guy. You learn that he was drunk one night, put the fire on in his house, and then left to get some more beer. And he didn't put the fire gate on, and his house burned down with his 3 young children in it.
Oh no!
And the firefighters managed to pull out Michelle Williams, and it's like their marriage broke down because of that. And then later on, in I guess what would be the present, she bumps into Casey Affleck, and she's remarried and pregnant, and he can't handle that because obviously he's lost his whole family. And then she says, "I still love you." And then that scene was really great, but her performance was good. Nothing compared to Viola Davis. Nicole Kidman in Lion, I kind of feel like she was only nominated because of her previous nominations as well. I was thinking her performance was good. She cried a bit, but I wasn't like, wow, this performance has really affected me. And I guess I kind of feel like, I think Meryl Streep, she's up for Best Actress. and I kind of feel like that's just because she gets nominated every time she's in a film.
Is
Like,
Emma Stone not
because
up
she's
for
not
Best
Australian.
Actress in La La Land?
yeah, and Emma Stone is. I don't want her to win that. I don't really know who's going to win Best Actress.
What do you guys think about the? What do you think about Viola Davis and Naomi Harris for you?
So Naomi Harris in Moonlight, yeah, that was. Is that what you were talking about earlier?
Yeah.
For the see her like cracked up.
Mm.
Yeah, that reminded me of The Wire. If
Yeah.
any of you have seen that,
Absolutely.
but it was it's pretty really shocking thing to see. You know, that kid in that position, but her playing that is good. But again, it's a really short role. Actually, it is very brief.
She doesn't get too many scenes.
But then her
No.
performance, in my opinion, in that short space of time, was better than Mr. Ali's
That's true.
Mahashala.
That's a fair point. That's a fair point.
Sorry, Mahashala, if you're listening. But yeah, so look, they're probably on screen for a similar amount of time, and he's very kind of flat, and not flat as in bad, but as in like consistent. It's just his range is kind of the same, whereas Naomi Harris goes from crack addict to grieving mother to So do you feel like she's in with a shout?
I guess. I mean, yeah, sure, why not?
Chris, what do you think about? Well, after you say, because we haven't actually talked about what we thought about Moonlight, so if we can come back to that afterwards. But yeah, go on, Chris. What do you think?
Was it Viola Davis? Yeah, no, she was fantastic in that. She really hit home really on like all the aspects of what she was trying to portray, like how much she loved her husband at the same time, like how disgusted she was with her husband, but then at the same time she was willing to keep living what they'd done as long as there was boundaries, and almost she enhanced the fact that because he was saying, why does she want a fence around the garden? And it's almost as if she knew something was happening underlyingly, and that's why she wanted the fence to enclose him in. And it's kind of almost redemption for him. You just
made it click in my head.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it's almost redemption for him why he's made the fence to show that he was willing to carry on.
Yeah.
And again, like when he had the baby in his arms and she was like, "I'll look after her, but there's no man in our life." Kind of thing.
I love that line. That was a great line.
She got it spot on every time, and yeah, if she doesn't win it, it's madness. I think.
Yeah.
But then I can only go based on what I've seen, and that's the only film I've seen. But from what you guys have said as well, she really did it.
She did.
Yeah.
I kind of just want to touch a bit on what you said about what's his name, Bono and Troy are talking, and he's like, "Oh, you should stop seeing this other woman because it's going to come out." 2 seconds later, he goes and admits it to her, and I thought that was very play-like, because I imagine you would have that scene, and then it would cut to like, the stage would change, and he'd then confront or admit to her. I kind of feel like in a film you would have more of a gap between that. There would be some time that elapses. I think that happens a couple of times. I can't think of any other examples, but where it's like, oh, you should definitely start building this fence, and it's like, okay, build the fence. It's like, I didn't feel that was natural. I felt that was really...
Well, this is it, isn't it? Because there was like almost a progression throughout the whole film of how there was meant to be a fence, there was going to be a fence, what was the reason for the fence.
Yeah.
And then almost in that scene with, is it Bono, did you say his name is?
Bono,
yeah, Bono hints at it several times in the film, or maybe twice in the film, that something is going on, and he knows deep down what's going on, he's trying to hint at it, and then almost, I feel like it came too late in the film to like identify that was actually something that was really happening.
Exactly.
Because he always pushed it away, didn't he? He was like, no, nothing's happening. And it's like you said, like I feel like it was too late in the film, because the film was quite long anyway. It's like 2 hours and a bit, wasn't it?
20,
So like so late in the film, so then almost that play like rotation had to come in, because otherwise the film would have gone on for another 30 minutes, I think.
Yeah, it did kind of come out of... I mean, obviously, like you said, it was alluded to, but it did kind of come out of nowhere. I feel like in a film...
I think it came out of nowhere as well.
Yeah.
In a film, you'd have him... You'd probably see a scene with him cheating on Viola Davis, or it'd be hinted at more, or spoken about, but it just kind of was like, oh yeah, we need to get in the fact that he's cheating.
Did you get, before Bono said it, did you get any inkling that he was cheating on her?
No.
I didn't.
Not at all.
It's only when the first time he mentioned it about
He
seeing
said he
the
was
woman
like-
at the bar.
Yeah.
That kind of all that implied was that he was flirting.
Yeah.
That wasn't implying anything. But then the film itself, what was the duration of that film in terms of time in their world. How long was that?
That's true. I think it was a few weeks.
Yeah,
It was a few weeks.
Oh no, it's fair. It's well.
No. Besides the very end, which was like several years later.
Yeah, and they added a bit like as he was making the fence. That was like 6 months.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, 'cause there was the montage, wasn't there?
after.
Bar them two
Yeah,
scenes.
I think it was maybe like 3 weeks.
Yeah,
Well, escalated quickly, didn't
because
it?
it wasn't even a case of like Viola Davis being like, "Oh, where have you been tonight?" Or you know, it was
Anything like that. Literally, I had no.
But then there was like the natural routine, wasn't it? That he would finish on Fridays, he would get a drink with his mates, and that's the. But then again,
But that wasn't
But
established.
then again,
much.
you could go back round and say, well, she did know something was wrong because that's why she wanted the fence. And he even said, but I think Bono said
yeah.
she's making a fence
To keep you in.
to keep you in.
Yeah.
Yeah, true.
And maybe that's to him jumping to a conclusion to try and hint to Denzel to stay. But then at the same time, maybe that was the reason why she did it. Like, there's always these points that we can pick up on later on, isn't there?
Mm.
I didn't realise this film was actually about someone making a fence.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love how you can just make any film around any sort of topic.
Yeah.
Wicked.
I was gonna
Really
say.
good film.
I was gonna say. Did you think the title was right for the film?
Yeah, because it
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
it was literal and figurative.
Yeah.
Okay, Moonlight.
Moonlight. Woo. Yeah.
What do you think, Colin?
Yeah, it's alright. So it's following the story of a young boy who was homosexual, but he got bullied for it growing up in the hood in Miami. And yeah, so we were talking about his mum being a drug addict, and I thought it was good. What I liked about it was that you didn't see a lot of camera angles from his point of view, but we were seeing his reaction to things and like the shock in his eyes and his like gasping face as like these things were happening, like when he was getting in that fight, when he was getting hit, you know, we were seeing it from the angle that it was affecting him. So that was something that I really liked about it.
Me? I really enjoyed it. But again, it's another film where like it's the same with Hacksaw Ridge. I feel like it kind of just ended.
Yeah.
I wanted a happy. Basically, I wanted a happy ending. I wanted
Closure.
I wanted some closure. I wanted a definitive conclusion. I wanted him to, get together with Kevin, and them to be happy, or at least for him to get together with someone and be happy. I just wanted the guy to be happy because he was so unhappy throughout his whole life. And I was like, come on, man, just get a bit of happiness, Go wank off on the beach.
I think it was though,
probably
wasn't
the
it?
best
It's supposed to be
bit
an
about the
open
whole film
ending.
This is what I was going to say. I haven't seen it, but maybe the whole point of the open ending is to show that they're
Anything can happen.
in society, maybe to show that society hasn't fully accepted all of it. Because the film's based around, it's all about homosexuality, isn't it? And I'm assuming there's a lot of homophobia in there.
There is there isn't really. I mean, there's a part where a young Chiron, because the film's split in 3 parts. It's him as a
Little boy.
a 6-year-old, and then as a teenager, and then as an adult.
Yeah.
And then there's a part when Chiron, the main character, says to Mr. Ali's character, "What's a faggot?"
Yeah.
So there's a hint that I think his mum called him a faggot.
Did his mum call him?
Because in the
Was
scene,
she screaming at him?
yeah, there's
I
a scene where she screams, but there's no sound.
Yeah, I never quite got what she was trying to say.
I think, but then there's certainly a suggestion that people have been bullying him.
Yeah.
And again, it's not even because that he said, "How do I know if I'm gay?" I think it's just because he was smaller and meeker and shy,
Really
and then
quiet.
therefore I guess in like playground politics that
Where he grew
wrongly-
up as well. You
Yeah.
you've got to act hard to.
So
Got to show them you aren't soft. Like
there
Kevin
wasn't there wasn't much depicted homophobia, but I think maybe I can't remember. I don't know what period it was set in. Maybe the 80s.
said. I reckon it's probably the 80s.
But I think maybe, like you were saying, people weren't comfortable coming out. And I think maybe that's why we don't see any point of view from him, or much point of view from him, because we could never understand his point of view. We are only outsiders looking at him and how he's struggling to find himself. So the point of view, you'd kind of be in the shoes of the protagonist, but I think the directors made a conscious effort to sort of think, no, you can't empathise with him in the same way because you are not a homosexual black man in the 80s.
That's true.
So I think that kind of really worked. But also I don't actually think, apart from the encounter he has with Kevin,
Yeah.
I don't think he ever actually explicitly says that he is gay.
No, it doesn't.
There's always like suggestions, but
He
he
just
could
says
quite
how-
simply he could be bisexual.
Okay.
I mean, because Kevin,
seems to be.
well, yeah, because Kevin has a family. So he's always portrayed as quite heterosexual. So obviously he could still be heterosexual, but there's always like it's never explicit, and I think that works in the film. But I did kind of want a resolution
Because
because
to be happy.
it was really kind of
So how did it end? What was the ending? Because
So-
I might watch it, but not anytime soon. So
So Chiron and Kevin are mates since they were 6,
Okay.
or even before then. And then when they're teenagers, they like have an encounter on the beach together.
Have a moment.
okay, right.
Yeah, and then
Literally the next day.
yeah, then like pretty soon after, because throughout it, Chiron's been picked on by this bully. Not well, the kind of suggestion because he is different, but anyway, so the bully tells Kevin to beat up Chiron, and then he does, and he keeps hitting him, and then Chiron gets back up, and Kevin says like, "Stay down, please," because if Kevin doesn't punch Chiron, he will then get beaten up, and then Chiron gets a chair and smashes it over.
Best moment of the film.
Smashes it over the bully's head, and then gets arrested.
Is
and
it because the bully's white and
No, they're
he's
black.
black?
Pretty much
Everyone's black.
everyone's
Okay, I
black.
was wondering whether there's like some racial
No, no.
connotation in there.
Um, And he gets sent to juvie, which I had a real issue with. And then it
Georgia.
kind of and then it cuts to him being an adult. And as an adult, I mean, the guy who plays him looks like 50 Cent.
So much.
So he goes from this like really skinny guy to built as fuck.
Basically,
Like he's like a tree.
it looks like he's trying to imitate what Mr. Ali looks like
Yeah.
when he was a child.
Yeah, because he had the car,
the grills.
the
He was like his father figure, so he's basically trying to recreate himself in his image.
So the transformation is really drastic, and then he becomes a drug dealer, and then he gets a phone call from Kevin, and he's like, "Oh yeah, what's up? Like, if you're next in town, like, it'd be nice to see you." I think he kind of apologizes
Yeah,
for
he does, a little
what
bit.
happens, and then so Chiron goes to Kevin's place of work, and they kind of talk, but not really talk. It's quite awkward, and
He
then
doesn't talk much in the film anyway.
No.
I would have to know how many lines he actually has in that film because his character does not talk much.
and then right at the end, Chiron says to Kevin, "It's like you're still the only man who's ever touched me,"
Yeah.
and then it kind of ends.
He's holding him. Kevin's holding
Yeah.
Chiron, and then it finishes.
It was so sad because
Really
I hate
was.
watching people being bullied on the
Yeah.
screen, and obviously in real life. But it was really like emotional.
I want him to do a Moonlight too, where he's happily married.
Maybe that's what maybe we should make a really depressing film with a open-ended ending. And
I want to go back to what we were talking about earlier, where you were saying that only depressing films go up for best actors or best pictures.
yeah,
So I've got some, well, not facts, but from last year. So nominees for best pictures was The Martian,
okay,
Bridge of Spies, Mad Max, The Revenant, and a couple of others. And nominees for best actor, again, The Martian, The Revenant, Michael Fassbender for Steve Jobs.
okay.
That I can imagine, is a very sad film. But I mean,
Okay.
The Martian was not a sad film.
The
That
Martian-
had a happy ending.
The Martian.
I love that film.
That should not have been nominated. For
You
me.
didn't think
The
so? It was a
only
horrible
reason that
film.
my god, it's just because it was Ridley Scott, man.
I didn't even know that,
Loved
but
it.
I thought it was a well good film. And what was it nominated for? Sorry.
Best actor and best picture.
Oh well, I could see why it was best picture. They did it really well, and I think best actor. I think Matt Damon played a very well. He played a stranded man very well, and
Yeah, I guess in that maybe it's just 2017 that's clouded my opinion of Oscars. Then 'Cause,
We'll have to see what's up next year.
Well, yeah, Mad Max and The Martian were quite entertaining. So I guess I think there's certainly that.
But again,
does
that goes
help.
back to the idea that it's their contribution to film as opposed to that one performance. Because obviously Matt
Yeah.
Damon and Tom Hardy have done plenty before, and Leo did eventually win, but he's also done plenty before, and maybe he should have won for a film before that. But
I personally didn't really like Mad Max Fury Road, so I'm quite pissed off that it was nominated. To be honest, I think it's just like, oh hey, got this director who did a cult trilogy in the 90s and he's made a new one. Oh, great. I don't know. Okay, well, we've kind of done our spiel on the Oscars and kind of talks about who we want to win, the main categories anyway.
Yeah.
And the Oscars is next week, so the 26th. So I guess it will be the week after that we'll discuss the.
So congratulations to
Insert name here.
I kind of hope.
well done Denzel Washington. Well done.
He's gonna win something.
the
I
others.
know Denzel Washington's gonna win something. I'll be surprised if he doesn't.
I kind of hope Mr. Ali doesn't win anything, because then I won't have. Otherwise, I have to pronounce his name again.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we'll talk about that in a couple of weeks. On the next podcast, I think we're going to talk about some TV, because we've got The Walking Dead's come back.
Yep.
We've
Bit
got
Legion.
Legion started, and I think some of you guys have started watching Riverdale.
Oh yeah.
So tune in next time for a bit of TV, amongst others. And I just want to mention that we are now on Twitter. So you can follow us at YAC Podcast 17, or you can email us at youraveragecritics@gmail.com. So please do get in touch, get in contact, join the conversation. You can give us feedback, positive or negative. You can suggest topics for us to talk about. And if you disagree or agree with our opinions, please do share them. We'd be happy to talk to you. So thank you very much, and tune in next week.
It is.